Hello again, and it's time for another project. Nothing too complicated today, just a nice simple wooden plaque on fencing wood, just to go on the shed of a friend of mine, whose name is obviously Geoff. You can see from that. So it's Geoff's shed. I've actually traced this out onto tracing paper off a tablet, and that way I could zoom it into the size I wanted. And I've gone for literally maybe about 3 inches lettering, and it's going to be on a 4-inch board. So we have a literally half an inch at the top and bottom of the letters, on the big letters at least. As always for me, we stuck it down on our fencing wood, spend a couple of minutes just to sand it down. It does come up really nice, and it's easy enough and cheap enough to purchase for those that's just starting out and you don't want to go out and get expensive woods. And I've used this on many projects without any issues. So we stuck it down with painter's tape, and I use carbon paper. Nice new piece, not this one. I think this one's appeared in every one of my videos, so that's certainly gone past its sell by date. And literally get yourself a pen or pencil, and you just draw around it like so. Now that will transfer onto the no problem. And that way, if you wanted to, if I knew more than one Geoff, I would be able to make another one for him. And there we have it. So you can just make out the lettering there, look. So Geoff's shed, and it's coming in at roughly 25 inches, and it'll be 4 inches from there to there. We will remove this section towards the end of the video, and a little section down the bottom there, and that will be our nice little plaque. Now normally on these projects I always use my CNC bits. For those that's watched my videos before, I do love them. I certainly have no issues. So there's your little CNC bits, and I normally go around all the lines with those. Once we've done all the line work, I would pop on my end milling bits and do all the clear out. We're going to do inset lettering today. What inset lettering is really, we're going to remove the inside of the lettering. I've done projects and I prefer the outset, which is the outside lettering, so you would remove all the background, just leaving those letters to stand proud by 3mm. That's the depth we will be working. But because it's a nice little quick project just for a friend, we're going to do inset. So we're going to take all the inside of the letters, then we put some nice black paint in there, quick sanding down, bit of varnish, and this little project will be done. So the bits today, and I have used them on previous projects on bigger ones, are double flute straight flush bits. They have a 1/4 inch shaft on them, so they will fit your router no problem. Obviously with these smaller ones you need an adapter reducer collet, but we're not going to use those today. And I'm just going to go for a small one. You get a pack of 7 for, I know, cheapest chips should I say, on eBay, and they come with different ends like that. That would be too aggressive. Obviously we won't even fit it into our lettering, to be honest. But if you had small sections, if you imagine in the letter D there, if you can just see that, if you came in with that and down the other side, that's going to be a bit delicate. And if that touches that, it's just going to break it straight off. So we certainly don't want the big ones today. In fact, we're going to go for the smallest one there is. There's a 1/8 one here somewhere. That's a 1/8 end. I think you get a 5/16 and something else. And big sizes like so and like so. But for now, we're just going to use that smallest one. We'll pop that into the router, set it to 3mm, and basically start removing all the insides of these letters. We'll do all the line works first through the old piece, and I'm going to go back with the same piece for now and see if we can start removing the inside of the letters. Okay, we'll pop that in the router, and then we'll see how it progresses. Right, we've had a change of plan. Scrap the idea with the straight flush bits. They're just not working today. Now when I first started doing my little projects, that was all I used, seriously, for the lines, the clear out and everything. Now I don't know if it's just a blunt piece or so I fell out of love with them, but it's just not working out today. You can just see there, if I just turn it nicely, we got one letter done before I started filming, and it's just ripping it out, and it's rough and ready. So it's not going for me. I tried going in straight in with the end milling bits, which are these ones here with the the colours on. People do ask sometimes, why do you bother with the CNC bits for your lines? Why not go straight in with these? So I tried that, and it will cut it out. I mean, it will do the job, but you're going to have a lot more sanding, and it's just not as crispy and as tight as it should be. So, good old faithfuls, you try different things. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. So we're literally just going to go back to our CNC bits. You guessed it. These are my favourites. I might have just done these right at the beginning, but we'll give it a try. So for the lines now, we're going to pop in a CNC bit. I think that's a 20 degree, that one. That's just literally just the angle of the cut at the end. Didn't really matter for me, because when I tend to clean out, I do go right up to the edge. So any degree that was on that cut, I basically take away with my end milling bits, and it doesn't bother me personally. They do have a smaller shaft on them, 3.175. So you need a little adapter collet like so, 6.35mm, and you would simply slot that into there. That now is a 1/4 inch shaft on, which is basically the same size as that one, believe it or not. So we'll pop this into the router now and do it the old way for me. Literally do all the lines with the CNC bit, and then we'll see in about popping one of these on maybe for the clear out. If not, good old end milling bits. Okay, take 2. Let's try and start again. We'll do the lines first. Right, we've made it round with those CNC bits. No problem with them. Sometimes it's better off just sticking to the bits you know. I use CNC bits. You can also get profile bits or liner bits, and it's for exactly the same reason. So you need to go around your lines first, just inside the line really, and then obviously we can put on spiral up cut or whatever you prefer to use. I'm going to go with these end milling bits. They started coming with these coloured caps on, a little barrel thing should I say. I don't know if that's just for the size of the bit or whatever, but they do come without those. So if you can't find them with those on, just get the same bits without them. It's exactly the same. So we're going to remove our CNC bit. We can get a nice good size one, which is the end one there, because there's nothing too complicated on here. This will fit into all our little sections, no problem. And literally just slot it into the same adapter collet. We'll set it to that depth over there. Remember we did start with those straight flush bits, so that's literally about 3mm thickness of that. In fact, if you put your CNC bit on, it's slightly less, so I want to go for a couple of millimeters, because that's 3.175, and that's just slightly higher than the wood itself. So but we'll go for 3mm. Doesn't have to be perfect. I've done 4, 5, even deeper on some projects. So we've got it in. We'll pop this into the router, and we'll just start clearing out all these inner sections. Right, you can see from that we've made it all the way around with those end milling bits. So far so good. So stick to the bits you know. I just don't know what the issue was with that first one, what that we started with, but we've rectified the problem and we're back on track again for making a nice little project. Now I'm going to cut this down. I'm literally going to cut it out on a scroll saw for me. I won't show you the filming bit, nothing too fantastic. A table saw would be ideal. Mine's out of commission. Believe it or not, I do have a bandsaw which would have cut this really nice. And I've got a brand new blade there. And I literally was setting that up on the bandsaw and it snapped. I didn't even get a chance to use it. It's actually a brand new blade. So the bandsaw's out of commission for now. So I'm not overly impressed with the company that I purchased those. I should be back in touch with them and see how we get on. That's the first time for me. I'm not a big user of a bandsaw, but I do get 2 or 3 months out of a blade. Never know one break before I even got to turn the saw on itself. But anyway, it is what it is. So let's just cut it out. You could use an hand saw, but basically just got to take off 2 or so inches off the edge there. And there's a faint line there. I don't know if you can see it. We're going to cut off the full length of that. Nice little table saw would be ideal. I do have one, believe it or not, but it's at the back of the shed somewhere, covered in 6 foot of total rubbish. So I'm not even going to get it out for that. So I'll cut it out, come back, and then we'll give it a general tidy up. Nice little sanding down. We'll get our little flexi cable. Just cheap eBay specials. With engraving bits. You get a packet of 30 of those. They'll come with different heads on, different shapes and stuff. I get one with a nice flat bottom. And we'll just turn this on and go inside there. Doesn't need a lot. We're not far off for what we want. If I can just get it near enough for you to see. It's just get inside these little corners here and the little fluffy bits that are hanging about. So we'll give them a little tidy up. Nice bit of sandpaper. Good bit of sanding down. And then we'll be ready for the painting. Right, let's do all that next. Right, that's enough sanding down and tidying up for me. We've got our decent shape going down there, and we can see that, and it's all nice and smooth. I've chafed these edges off slightly. I do have routers that you can put on and round all that off, but I just find quick mouth sander down the side, and it's just enough to give a subtle angle to that finish here. It's entirely how you want to do the oars, obviously. So we've cleaned it all out nicely. You notice we've put some little screw holes in there. You could have fastened it on to the end there at either end. I've got a router bit that you can put slits in the back, keyhole slits. But for this one, I've actually drilled it into the lettering, which will be black on both sides. And you can see I've countersunk that hole, because eventually we'll have a black screw going in there. And hopefully when the black paint's on, we're not going to see that. So, and obviously there's one at the other end as well. So that's going to hide those screw heads nicely. Now it's just a simple case of painting it black. Just one nice solid colour all the way through. Now some woods you've got to be a bit careful. You can get what they call bleeding. That's basically when you put your paint in, it can bleed into the side walls of your routed out area. Imagine all these lines being like a load of straws together. And you've cut into those straws. So all those grain ends down there will be open. Now there is wood sealers out there, wood finishers that you can just literally just brush on. Once it dries, it hopefully seals all those. So when you come to put your paint in, and then you sand it all down, it's all nice and crispy. I'll find on certain projects, I'm just quite happy to just spray a bit of clear varnishing. That will seal it just as much, just as easy, should I say. On certain woods, I've not bothered at all. So if you've got your concerns about it, just spend 5 minutes, just spray over in between them holes like so. I'm going to do the Geoff bit like that. And I'm going to take a chance and leave the shed bit, so just to see if we have any bleeding on that, and I'm happy to do that, it's no problem. But we'll see all that one there. Once that's nicely dry, we'll start putting our black paint in. Just get those side walls, and we'll just see if it was needed. At the end of the project, we will be spraying the full piece. Remember, we have to sand this all down first once the black's gone in. Now while that's drying, before the paint goes in, I'll just do a bit on this end, and it's just simple painter's touch paint today. I use this on a lot of my projects. I've certainly got no issues, and it's just a simple case of just brushing it in like so. It doesn't matter if you go up the sides. I will do this at least twice. Get right into those edges there, all the way around like so. This paint is more or less to the end, so it's a bit thick is this, to be honest, but it will serve the purpose. But you get the general idea. So we're just going to throw it in. Doesn't have to be too fancy. Remember, we are going to sand this all down afterwards. But get those side walls done all the way around. Give it a good covering over. And then hopefully, when we come to sand it down, it should be all nice and crispy. You get the general idea from that. Right, I'll finish this off completely. By the time I've done the shed bit, hopefully that bit of varnish would have dried, and we can continue with that. And then I'll literally just sand it all down, and then we'll look at good old boiled linseed oil or something just to darken the wood down. We do have a bit of wood dye kicking about somewhere. If we find that, we'll use that as well. But we'll have a look at that, see how this dries on. Okay, we'll come back in a minute when this is all nicely sanded down and ready for the final finish. Right, that's sanded down, no problem. Takes a little while with a little mouse sander. We'll all have our own little way of doing things. And you can see from that, we've had no bleeding on the wood on the Geoff side of things. And to be honest, we didn't put anything on this wood at all. And I personally can't see any bleeding on there. You just see your lines. They're still crisp enough. You get the odd little side bits there. You might have a little bit in there if you want to be really picky. But personally, once our boiled linseed goes on that will disappear. So just watch your woods. Some will bleed in really nasty. Some, especially fencing wood, I personally never bother. And you can see from that, everything's still crispy enough for a little fun outdoor project. Right, next stage, you've guessed it, going to be good old boiled linseed oil for me. I do pop this on most of my projects. One, it just darkens the wood down a little bit. And obviously it's designed to protect the wood. And we're also going to spray over some nice varnish over the top of it once it nicely dries. Nothing special, just a clear lacquer on this one. Just give that little shiny. Any of my finishes won't be the best in the world. You want your polyurethanes, your spar-urethanes, and you spray it on, you sand a bit, spray it on. It's just too much work involved. I'm not overly concerned about that. These are just little fun projects. So, boiled linseed oil, literally just going to brush it all on. It doesn't matter if we get it inside the lettering, that's no problem whatsoever. We've got a new brush here and all the bristles are falling out, but we won't be overly concerned about that. So it's just a case of putting it on like so. You'll see how that wood goes down. Just darkens it off slightly. More so on the side bits. We'll get the sides like that. And then we'll let this dry. Only takes a day or so if it's nice and sunny. Boiled linseed oil dries a lot quicker than raw linseed oil. And we'll just basically do the full piece like this. Get it on, and then we wipe it off with a cloth afterwards. We get the general idea for this. And don't be concerned if it goes in the lettering. It won't do it any harm. In fact, you can brush into the lettering like so, look, if you want to. It doesn't bother. Okay, I'll do all this. When it's dry, we'll be ready for spraying on some of our varnish, just to basically finish the project off. Right, that's it. This little project is finished. Now you can see from the final wood, got a nice shine on there. Just 3 or 4 coats of a simple gloss varnish. This won't last forever, this sign, to be honest. If you want proper finishes, you want your polyurethanes, your spar-urethanes, but you're going to have to brush it on, spray it on, give it a light sanding, spray it on, light sanding, spray it on, light sanding, spray it on, light sanding. And you can do that 6-7 times to build up a nice coat finish. Just far too much work and effort for my little project. I'm not even bothered if they start wearing out and look a bit rustic. It's just a fun of the making of the thing, and for me, obviously you want to concentrate more on how long it's going to last. I'll leave that entirely up to you guys what you do. So that's it. This little project is finished. So it's routed out on rough fencing wood using CNC bits to do our line works. We did try those straight flush bits, but they just weren't having it today. I don't know why. And then we cleared it all out with the end milling bits. They're fantastic. Stick to what you know, I say. Just find the right bits that work for you guys. And then we painted some nice black in between the lettering that we've routed out. Just painter's touch paint for me today. We did spray a bit of varnish on that Geoff side, and nothing on this shed side, and we've had no bleeding at all. I don't know if you can really see from that. Just get right up. We're going to go for it. No, okay, that left to do. So we had no bleeding at all. Just watch your woods. Some woods are worse than others. And just to darken it down again, good old boiled linseed oil. You don't need to put that on if it's not your choice. Your spray varnish will darken the wood down, but it's a wood treatment, so it's not going to do any harm putting that on at the same time as putting your varnish on. And then to give us that nice little shine, little 151 clear lacquer gloss finish today for that one, just to finish it off. And that's it. That's all we need. So it measures in at just over 25 inches by 4 inches. A nice little fun project. It's a free gift for somebody, so I'm sure Geoff's going to be really happy with this. Just to go outside on the side of his little shed. And you can notice from that, just remembered, we've actually got our screws in already. I'm just about to see that. There is screws in there, and they've gone right through, look. And that will be enough to hold that in place. And obviously, we've got the screw at the other side there. So that just hides away inside the lettering, and you have no issue with anything showing. But like I said previously, I do have a router bit that you can cut slots in the back, and you just clip that onto your shed that way. But for my friend Geoff, this is going to be plenty for what he wants. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching.